Second-hand is second best no longer in many parts of the world, Botswana included. In one of the Gaborone suburbs, Tumi pauses beside a collection of upmarket second-hand bags for sale in her small but fit-for-purpose living room, turned into a display room for her stock. The spark of selling second-hand goods came just under a decade ago when she visited a friend in Zambia in an effort to reorganize her mind and craft her future after suddenly becoming unemployed. While there, she reluctantly agreed to visit a marketplace, where she bought a few second-hand bags for her personal use back home. Upon her return to Botswana, however, friends offered to buy them from her. She recognized this as a gap that could be exploited, an opportunity among professional women, young and old, who are looking for bargains because of the competing demands for their limited financial resources, and at the same time still want to make a statement in public through their appearance. While in Botswana, second-hand goods for a long time were synonymous with pawn shops and used bookstore sections were niche business, popularly perceived as dingy and dark, it is big business in many first world countries such as Japan, where the legal second-hand goods trade runs into billions of pula every year. How has this mother of two managed to find a niche market in a segment of our middle-class community that for a long time considered second-hand goods somewhat dingy? This is her story.
I lost my job, and during the time that I was regrouping, I traveled to see friends in Zambia where they have marketplaces where they sell these bags. I remember I had a temporary job there, and a friend of mine said to me, let's go buy bags the one day. And I was like, okay, I'm broke, I can't afford a bag. He's like, no, don't worry. Then we went to this market. It's called Soweto, funnily enough. Bag, like proper leather bags. It's like, oh really? At the time, an expensive bag would be 50 kwacha, which would be 75 pula here, or 30 kwacha, $50, and I was amazed. Then I got a few bags. When I traveled back after the job, I got more. And I got here and people were interested in my bags. Some were offering money for them off of my hand, and I was like, okay, if this is gonna work. And at the time, remember, I didn't have a job and I had children to feed. So I kept going back for more. I'd be here and then travel again after 3 months to get more. And they were selling. That's how we started, really.
From that first chance encounter with the second-hand market, Tumi has gone on to expand her horizons, now sourcing bags from all over the world.
Initially, as I said, it was just Zambia, and then we'd stumble upon an occasionally luxury bag, a Louis Vuitton, a Michael Kors, and then the people would offer money for it, and I was like, okay, that looks like it could work. And then as we were finding our information, we were told in Tanzania there's more, in Thailand there's more. And then, because I would read up on this, I felt that I also needed to educate myself. Where we find them, and reading up on this, I'd find, oh, there's markets in Ghana, there's markets in Tanzania where they sell these bags, there's markets in Thailand. So I realized people were now wanting the ones that they can't exactly afford. It's not about affording. Like the contemporary young woman has things to do. School fees, mortgage, capital into business, but they don't want to compromise on their looks. That's where we got in, and it's like, this is what we will do. So we went to search for them at those places, and we found them. Lots of them.
Second-hand items are not always viewed in the most positive light. How does our enterprising guest get clients with such upmarket taste to buy used goods?
I remember the one time when I was interviewed on radio, they asked me, do you sanitize your stuff? And I said, there's only so much that I can do. Yes, I clean them, I wipe them with the sanitizers, with sterilizers, but there isn't much that I can do. But it hasn't been hard. I think it isn't as hard as the clothes. Maybe you can suffer a bit because they're like someone else has worn them. I remember the one time one lady said, I really have a feeling that I can't wear shoes like that because there's a sole that wore the shoes. I was like, that's too deep, but just think it's a shoe and like it's in a shop. But it hasn't been hard with the bags. I think probably because they're not as worn intimately, probably. And women love bags. That's the one thing. So I think they rarely think about that.
We trust that by now her client base has extended beyond her immediate circle of friends and family. What platforms does she use to access a wider market?
Social media has been great for me. I trade off of social media. Facebook, we set up a Facebook page in 2010. That has been driving this business for as long as I know. And then word of mouth. I'll get a call that, oh, a friend of mine that I work with, I saw a bag, they say it was you. Word of mouth has been big. Social media has been great too. About 3 years ago, we hopped on the Instagram wagon. It has been amazing too because I have clients from everywhere, South Africa mostly. Just the other day, we were sending a bag to the US with a friend who'd come. She said, my friend is coming there. It's time I got a bag. She got 2 bags. We sent them back to the US. And I have clients in Malawi. So social media mostly.
Do stay with us. When we return, we continue our conversation with this accidental entrepreneur, finding out all the lessons she's learned thus far.
To get more from life, we need all the help we can get. Like getting a 105% home loan to cover costs like legal fees and deposits. And 55 days interest-free credit when swiping your credit card. And paying 0% deposit to drive the car you want. And helping save for those big things for your family. And earning real rewards for just doing your everyday banking. Isn't it time you got more from life with gold? Switch to FNB today. FNB, how can we help you?
Welcome back to First Issues as we continue to speak to the enterprising Tumi Mohwasa, a mother of 2 who bounced back strong from sudden unemployment by finding a niche market within the middle-class community. A mother of 2 who bounced back strong from sudden unemployment by finding a niche market in a section of our middle-class community that for a long time perceived second-hand goods as undesirable. You're now probably wondering, how many bags is Tumi selling a month if she's able to travel to all corners of the globe sourcing stock? She's very candid in her response.
In a month, between 75 and 100. In one consignment, because that consignment I get it over time. I send for money, they keep collecting for me, then I travel and bring them in. So I bring in about 4 pieces of 23 kg of items from Tanzania or wherever it is that I would have gone to. So even though they are collected over time, they go, they don't sit. So between that number goes. We would have a bag like this. This is an MS written with an H, but it's a French brand. It would cost anything between 1250 and 1500, 1500 pula. A bag as little as this, because it's a sling from LV, would sell easily for 30,000 rands. Because the next LV store next to us is Senton. So you'd get this for between 25 and 30,000 rands. But I sell this for, this was 790. another one would be 850. So it really is about, we are way below par in terms of price comparison. This one was 1,500 for it. And the brands are mainly, there's Michael Kors, we've had Gucci, we've had Chanel, there's Chanel too. Chanel is the people's favorite currently. And people are willing to pay that kind of money because they know how much they'll be paying for if it was an original bag. Because also, as you can see, it's mint. It hasn't been used to almost being thrown out.
Next, we asked our guest how exactly she sources her stock from all over the world.
I travel to the places. Like I said earlier, sometimes I send money because I have people on the ground. Over time, I've made friends with the suppliers, so I send money. They send me what they see. I work with WhatsApp mostly. They send me the things that they have seen on the ground. Also, over time, people will say, I've seen an MS bag on your timeline. I want it. And it's like, okay, we don't have it currently, but you send your deposit, and I send the money to the guys with a picture, and then they go scouting for us. Sometimes someone gets their bag within a week, because we also work with the post office. We use the EMS, or sometimes it takes, like I remember there was a bag that took 12 months to find. The lady was like, find it. Time is not a factor, find me the bag. And we did, eventually. But sometimes you'll find in one time, you'll just find a lot of Louis Vuittons, or you'll just find a lot of Hermes's, or you're going to find Chanel. That trip that you've made, there's just lots of Chanels, and then the one who'd be looking for the other one would have to wait. But they do wait because they know what they're looking for.
Our guest has truly capitalized on a stroke of good fortune that found her able to dedicate the time and energy to developing it into what has proven to be a profitable venture. To conclude our conversation, we ask her how much further she wants to take this flourishing business of hers in future.
Women love bags, firstly. Secondly, it fills a gap in the community, in the society, because it isn't everyone who can afford the first bag that they really want because of other commitments that they have. The gap is growing, especially because of the economic crashes that happen from time to time. So we really hope to work it and make it a lot bigger, because currently we don't even hold stock. As much as we think we're bringing a lot home, they go very fast. So we will grow second to none.
I trust you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Do stay with us, however, because when we return, we share with you the newest online scam.
To get more from life, we need all the help we can get. Like getting a 105% home loan to cover costs like legal fees and deposits. And 55 days interest-free credit when swiping your credit card. And paying 0% deposit to drive the car you want. And helping save for those big things for your family. And earning real rewards for just doing your everyday banking. Isn't it time you got more from life with gold? Switch to FNB today. FNB, how can we help you?
Welcome back to First Issues. Advancements in technology have brought with them a number of solutions that have simplified our day-to-day activities, including banking. With the ability to transfer money, check balances, and even print statements using online banking, there are fewer and fewer reasons to take time out of your day to go and queue for services inside an actual bank building. However, Just as we continuously learn to protect hard cash in the physical world from thieves, scammers, ATM fraudsters and the like, there are some do's and don'ts in cyberspace to help protect your money from unsavory characters online. To continue this ongoing education is consumer activist Richard Harriman, who has helped cement not-for-profit organization Consumer Watchdog as a go-to voice with regards to consumer protection in its 12 years of operation. He is here to share with us this evening his findings regarding the latest online banking scam, one he says has been the most deceptively designed thus far.
We've seen a number of people come to us in the last couple of weeks reporting the same issue. They received an email that appeared to be coming from First National Bank. It looked exactly like an email that you would get from FNB. It had the FNB logo, the right colours, everything was it looked exactly like an FNB email. And what this email said was that the recipient had recently purchased something on Amazon.com, where you can buy things online, books, CDs, music and so on. And this email said that this person receiving the email had just spent 12,000 Rand, it's actually 11,999 Rand, on Amazon, and they had 24 hours to confirm whether it was them or not. And if it wasn't them, they had to click on a link in the email. Now, this is where it got really smart. So it looked like an email from FNB. You'd be quite alarmed. They're about to deduct 12,000 Rand from my account, even though this was in Botswana, so you'd think Pula. But anyway, it looks like a lot of money, 12,000 Rand. And you hadn't bought it, obviously, because it's a scam. So you click on the link, and what appeared, this is really clever, what appeared was a very good replica of the FNB website. It looked exactly like it, including the username and the password to sign on to online banking. Now what you would do, and I tried this and I didn't use my own details, I just made up some stuff. I entered the username and the password to sign on. I actually used a very rude word. And then another screen came up saying, just wait, we're sending you a one-time PIN. And when the PIN turns up, you must click on the link, enter it and click on the link. The scammers now have those details. So while you're waiting, they're signing on to the real FNB website using your username and your password, and then you're waiting for the one-time PIN that they have instructed the bank to send, but it goes to your cell phone. So the form you see asks you for the one-time PIN, you enter it, they then receive it. So they're waiting at the real FNB website to sign on, they get the one-time PIN that you give them, they then sign on to your account, they've got complete access. You've given them all the details they need to sign on as if it was you. You've given them the username, you've given them the password, you've given them the one-time PIN, and the even smarter thing was that once you enter the one-time PIN, a message comes up again to you, the victim, saying, please wait. So of course, what do? You wait. You think there's a delay somewhere. That gives them another few minutes to empty your account. And there's no restrictions because you've given them your username, your password. They've even got the one-time PIN that FNB would send to you. They have now complete access to your bank accounts, and they can do whatever you would be empowered to do. So while you're waiting, these guys are emptying your accounts. They're draining everything. And the terrible news is this isn't FNB's fault. You can't go to them next day and say, you've done something wrong. FNB have done nothing wrong. You have given away your banking details voluntarily to a scammer somewhere in the world who's just raided your account. And there's nothing you can do about it because you gave your details away voluntarily. Now, if you'd been careful, if you'd looked when the email first arrived, the wording wasn't quite right. There were little things, little clues in the email. Like the first word of the sentence didn't have a capital letter. And the language just wasn't quite right. It was very close. But this clearly was written by someone for whom English wasn't the first language. You can just tell. And I think if you do get an email from FNB, and you have a right to expect the English to be perfect, to look perfect, the logo to be exactly right. This wasn't quite right, but it was very close to being right. The fake website they set up was very, very good. I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference, I don't think. And I'm an FNB customer. So I wouldn't have known the difference. So it's very, very well done. It's very, very high risk. And you as a consumer that's fallen victim to this have no rights to complain to FNB because they have done nothing wrong. You're the one that's given away all of your credentials to scammers, and you're the one that authorized them to take all your money. And that's the tragedy of it.
According to official figures released by Financial Fraud Action UK in March this year, the UK lost the equivalent of over 26 million pula each day as a result of financial fraud in 2016, the biggest growth area being remote banking fraud. Even the most developed countries have seen the need to develop joint financial fraud task forces to help protect their financial services sector. So clearly, this is not just a localized problem. Where then and who exactly are these fraudsters?
I have no idea. And that's the wonder and the threat of the internet. You have no idea who you're talking to on the internet. This could be someone, anyway, the website that had been hijacked was in Chile, but that doesn't mean the crooks are in Chile. They could be in Bulgaria, they could be in Mongolia, they could be in Mochudi, they could be anywhere. The internet is universal, it's worldwide with the exception of North Korea. But you have no idea who they are. But one thing I can tell you is some people have a perception, a thought that scammers are a couple of teenagers in an internet cafe in Lagos. That's not true. This is organized crime. This is effectively the mafia. This is the mob. This is a big industry. There are call centers full of people making phone call scams and sending emails. They recruit people carefully. These are highly talented people. It isn't just a couple of teenagers. This is organized crime. We spoke to an expert on this a couple of years ago, a proper international expert on cybercrime. And he'd been involved in a raid in South Africa on the guys who make these card skimming devices. And the interesting thing he said was that as a former secret agent, it wasn't just the card skimming devices in this flat they raided in Joburg somewhere. There were AK-47s, there were pistols with silencers, there were drugs. These people aren't just, as I said, not just a couple of teenagers. This is organized crime, and today they're doing phishing scams, tomorrow they're doing advanced fee scams, next day they're doing card skimming, the next day they're having people killed. This is organized crime. Think The Godfather from 50 years ago. Think to 2017, that's who we're dealing with. This is how they make their money these days.
Richard says the website developed for this latest scam was the most convincing thus far. Is there nothing at all to help the ordinary consumer determine whether a website is genuine or not?
It's difficult. There's no way of hiding this. It is very difficult because these scammers are getting better and better at it. Like I said, this website they've crafted is a very good replica. I would have found it difficult instantly to tell the difference, but you can tell the difference. Every single time you transact online, whether it's online banking, whether you're buying something from eBay or Amazon or wherever, every single time you must go to your browser at the very top and look at the address. Does it say FNB? Does it say Amazon? Does it say eBay? Does it have a little padlock, the little symbol meaning it's secure? Does it say HTTPS or just HTTP or have a padlock? If it doesn't have those things, be suspicious. If warnings come up, sometimes Google will come up, your web browser will say, "No, hang on, there's a problem here. This site can't be trusted." If you see any messages like that, be very, very careful. And as I say, check that box at the top, the URL, which has the website address. Check that every single time before you press enter, before you press go, before you press submit. You've got to check it every single time. I know it's boring, but you have to do that to protect yourself.